Is Salabreakers trying a run before reset? Yes, the Salabreakers physical group is running today in a few hours. Right, they're currently on the PTR. I was in the caster comp, right? So it didn't end up being a good run, sadly, right? Father's Belt, could you get him into the Discord? I don't know if he's actually in there or if he's just, offline. Doesn't seem like he is available. Let's see here. Either way, we can start with introducing a few people here, so I'm gonna drag him in. Alright, so we can start at least from the start of the list, right? With Q then. Alright, Q, so in which guild do you play and what role are you playing in your guild? Oh, no Discord sound. Oh, shit. Sorry, my bad. We can take it again, Q. Alright, sorry.
Oh, yeah, NOTA.
Oh, my bad.
I'm Q, I'm from Dinosaurs, I'm a Warlock, and I also help raid lead for the Karazhan that we do and the 25 mans.
I'm Iona. I'm also from Dinosaurs. I'm a Resto Druid and sometimes Ellie Shaman. So help with raid leading.
Okay. Sorry, boys.
We good? I'm Madly, raid leader, GM, enhancement shaman for Be Nice.
Hey, and I'm Placetwo. I'm the GM and raid leader of Havana room. Play a prod warrior whenever that's relevant, and if not, then I'll probably be on a survival hunter or holy paladin, depending on what we need for that encounter.
All right. Thank you. So obviously, right, there are people that are gonna be showing up a little bit later on. I'm assuming that Goof is currently not awake. How's that situation looking? For the spells. We have some overclock members, in chat, but they don't have the people who is supposed to be here with us today. Let's see. I think I'm gonna move this over here. Might be better. All right. So let's take a look at. So obviously, right, when it comes to Karazhan speedrunning, there has been quite a bit of improvements over the course of the few months and weeks we've been at it, and of course we can see that Be Nice is currently sitting at 17th place, but haven't you guys been in the at least top 8, if I recall correctly?
Yeah, we were up there pretty high. We're 12 though. That's our server transfer rank from way back.
Oh yeah, I'm missing it there. Oh yeah, that is true. You guys actually transferred there. That is something that you might see like a little bit going forward as well. I think that NOTA is transferring to Gehenna's, I think at some point during this month or the next month. So there's gonna be quite a bit of guilds doing that going forward. So that is definitely something that might be messing around with the logs. But as well, Dinosaurs, you guys have been pushing quite a bit on speedruns, so that is definitely something that I saw quite early, and I did push you guys to do faster and faster runs, and you guys are currently in number 5.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've stuck with the same 10 from the start, so I think it's helped us a lot in terms of just building synergy of what people are doing when. We had a few people swapped alts, but overall, like, it's just been a lot of fun as like the only outlet of speedrunning without like a full instance raid like SSC or TK. So
yeah, definitely. Like getting to know your teammates is definitely like the best way of like improving really early. And as well, Havana room. I know that you guys aren't that far up currently, right? But you guys did do runs like in the top 10-ish around a month-ish ago, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think we were number 12 whenever we landed out there. I think our approach to speedrunning is very much to get away from the current state of 25s. And we're very addicted to tech, right? So I think what makes speedrunning fun for us is discovering small tweaks or items or strategies that we can do to improve. And that's where we sort of been focusing on time, right? And the great community we have around speedrunning that shares these tactics and help each other improve. I think that's where we are addicted more than than competing for the top 5. That is probably not within our reach, but we're running tonight, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, there's gonna be quite a bit of runs tonight, actually, including the Salabakers run. I'm assuming that NOTA is running tonight as well, considering that they are currently on the PTR. What was Dinosaurs running tonight as well?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's definitely gonna be quite a bit of a competition for tonight. We might not be seeing it all of it on this stream, but definitely gonna be looking at it in the coming few days here. Let's see. I'm just gonna try to do some stuff on the side here to try to get some overclock people actually in the fucking call.
Piggybacking off of Place talking about tech, I want to know who came up with the Sulfron Slammer, because when we found that out, it excited all of us so much. We had no idea this little item existed, and it's such a cool, unique way of just like breaking repentance on Maiden. I don't know who the originator is.
Important question with that.
I'm not sure. We got it from the Mage Discord, of all places.
Really?
Mage Discord.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is definitely something. I don't know where like all of these strategies like originate from. At least like from like pool tactics and similar. It's usually kind of like obvious whenever like a new guild comes up with something. Like and a good example is like the Dream State usage of Paladin, right, to pull the entire the ballroom and then just AoEing everything down. Like obviously that it's kind of like an obvious situation, but to at least have like an initial attempt for it.
I think what Karazhan was interesting also is it was the first real raid where compositions were extremely different. Right? If we look back on almost any other speedrun we've done, you're all gravitating towards the exact same archetype. Now we see people with 2 tanks, people with 2 healers. I'm sure there's even some that run one of each. And like you need to play into the strength of your comp. So I remember when we got that number 12, we were still trying to fix our comp, and we realized it's actually been getting harder and harder to fix our time through just running different players, right? You actually just need to run your comp well, and you can compete. And that's something I think that made Karazhan a lot more fun than the other raids that we have been part of.
For sure. Like, just because you have the correct class doesn't mean that you are going to be doing better than everyone else, right? If you rather have like a good synergy between your players, it might in the end like result in a faster run overall, like from your own like attempt, right? Rather than just bringing someone that is the correct class for going fast.
That's one of the areas that we've been kind of stuck on, is that we have 2 set healers and 2 set tanks, and I've really been trying to make the most out of that comp because we don't want to switch people off. I think this past week one of our tanks registered as a DPS, but still playing the same roles.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, we can definitely see.
You got people like Spaceforce, right, which makes it run with a boomkin. And like,
yeah, like it's probably not the fastest like comp they could be running at, but they are fastest with the comp.
They make it work.
Of course. Imagine PTRing Kara. Who would ever do that? Practicing speedrun. No way.
But I think the 2 archetypes we're seeing here, right, is we're seeing the ones with 2 tanks and the ones with 2 healers. And then I think the discussion we've had a lot around is, do we then run double Warlock or do we then run double Hunter? Because they both, right? The Warlock's very good in the beginning. Hunter's very good in the latter half, right? And finding out which of those we should land in have been kind of hard for us. I think we're still undecided what we're running tonight. But I do like the double Warlock a lot. We spoke a lot also earlier in this group around there is an ability to, when you get to the Nightbane, to actually send people out the door. Nightbane's back door there, so to speak. There's a little bit of a don't miss that one. And then switching your comp, right? So
that is definitely something it's definitely something we haven't seen pretty much anywhere from any run, because currently there is no requirement to be killing the raid with your same 10 people for the kill requirement. Which could definitely swap things up, as you said, specifically with Nightbane, yeah.
Also the mage, I find very low value of the mage after Nightbane. I'm sure people would disagree, right? But I feel like a mage's strength is in the first half with the Blizzard. You could swap the mage for another Hunter or another Warlock once you've passed Nightbane. I think that would be a benefit, but we haven't seen people do that.
It's definitely like the perfect spot to be potentially like swapping out players that technically don't excel at that part of the run, since there's still quite a bit of the raid to be done, right?
Also, I feel they're a little bit squishy compared to other classes, but that might just be our thing. I'm very impressed with all these single healer, single tank runs. I'm playing a Holy Paladin and I'm clenching my...
Clenching about seeing this. Like, I think that the NOTA run, right, is currently sitting at the top 4 and they're running... I think it's one tank, one healer. With, I think Stealthy is doing, like, some off-tanking every now and then, but that is kind of rough, just having, like, a single tank, single healer situation.
The single healer is, I have a lot of respect for every run that's pulling in really good times with single healer, because all it takes is one like mistake and single healer falls apart like really quickly. Like you can have deaths a lot easier because you don't have that cushion of the second healer just like as a blanket, and you also you lose like some recovery if you have like a healer death because of like weird aggro or like a butt pull of a pack or something like that, you know. So it makes it a lot more difficult, but that 8th DPS spot like means so much inside of Kara. Like we've watched a lot of VODs where just like you could just time the kill times of trash in groups with 8 DPS versus 7, and it is like a dramatic difference. That shaves off minutes off the top throughout the run.
It's the same thing we saw in like Classic as well, especially in Nax. If you had an early death, it's like losing half a DPS.
Yeah.
Like it's straight up. Like for any clear that had a death, like in let's say in the Spider Wing, that was the initial part for, I'm assuming every single guild, right? If you had someone die on like skitters or the spider packs in general, you lost about a minute, like straight up a minute, and that's one person in a 40-man comp. And like losing like that much of DPS in a 10-man comp, where it's like even more of an impact, it's definitely gonna have like an impact on the time, like the declare times, of course.
I feel we're leaving Karazhan too quickly in this phase, and we lost half of sort of the current meta, right, due to the way Karazhan started. But I feel like we've now reached a spot where the comps are beginning to get, like, we know what the archetypes are, but there's so much min-maxing left to do, right? We don't see a lot of bomb usage is still very low. Amplify magic is missing from a lot of runs, and there's like a ton of small optimizations that you can still do inside of your runs. That because everything is sort of still changing, also in its early stages, we haven't really had the time to dive into that. I think that's a shame. I would have loved to see another 2 months or so of this Kara phase without having to spend another 2 months doing speed kills, obviously.
I feel like everybody started really late. Like, I don't know about you guys, but it just like kind of switched on for us one day, like 2 months in, where we were like, yeah, we should do some speed runs. It didn't even like really occur to us to do it before then.
I feel like that switch was sort of amplified by Warcraft logs sort of just throwing in the trash requirements because of how many people were doing like pre-clears on the with skips category. they implemented that rule, and it felt like everybody woke up like, oh, we can speedrun this now and not have to worry about all this weird strats that people are doing. You know, it's just like Nax. You know.
I'm just sad that I'm just sad that I personally didn't push for it like earlier than I could have, because obviously, right, I do have some kind of pull within the Speedrun community, at least in Classic. So I feel like if I would have pulled for it a little bit earlier, maybe helped out on the kill requirement list like a lot earlier, we could potentially have seen a lot better time. Obviously, right, I'm not putting like any discredit to Spaceforce, but if we would have had people like Havana, like a Havana room that are like what do you want to say, like increasing the skill level or the complexity of the speedruns. If we had more people like them, we could potentially have seen some new skips or new strategies that would have cut down the time significantly. And it's a shame that it wasn't pushed earlier, and it's a shame that in the end it's gonna be done too early, I feel personally.
There's also something to set up, right? So the trash requirements, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Shariva and Mr. Sod drove a lot of those discussions in Warcraft logs. So I think there's probably also a reflection coming out of this that we all as speedrun guilds can take a more active and contributing part to setting the direction going forward. I'm not sure the forum is there yet, but I think had it not been for at least those two voices, we probably wouldn't have gotten trash requirements as quickly as we did. So that's probably something considering going forward, how everyone can help sort of influence and create the tools that Warcraft log needs in order to get a good meta going.
I mean, speaking to that, like we have mobs we can just walk by that we have to kill, right? Like it doesn't really reflect what it should be.
The Orcan anomalies in the curator's room. You have to kill 5 when you technically can kill 4.
And the first horse right on the right side, you don't have to.
That's the big one for me. Like you can just walk right by that thing.
Yeah.
I think that like the very first like mobs initially was like added due to the fact that people were pre-clearing, so you needed to kill specific mobs in order to start the timer. Like like before the proper kill requirement list, then there was like I think 4 different mob IDs that you needed to kill for the time to be like accurate. And I think those were the initial few packs in the ballroom and in the stable room, right, going to Atom.
So one of the tricks that we are trying tonight, and I'll share a little bit here, is we're gonna have 2 spare shamans, being like group 1 and 2, and then we obviously have group 3 with 2 people in. Those shamans will pop Lust and then take the portal out, and then our 2 real members will enter in. Obviously, we can't change the groups around until the Lust is over, but it gives us 40 seconds of Lust through the Atom and Trash for 2 players who are technically not part of the run. I think there are still a lot of these little interesting tech things that you can do, and I haven't seen us go real degenerate yet on the levels we can take Karazhan to, like we've seen on Hiking Mulgar.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't until at least from my perspective, it wasn't until the run I did with my boys, right, that we saw someone use the paladin buffs outside of the like initial 10 people. Like we had 3 paladin buffs at the very start of the run, when technically we were only running a single paladin. And then all of a sudden, like Resist had it, Exodus had it, and some other people. I'm not saying that we're the first ones, but that's the first time I noticed it, like personally. And like to the same extent, like as you mentioned with the shamans, right? It is gonna be nice to see the increased like clear times from the start, right? With having lost.
You got a lot of people also missing out, right, on the Frozen Runes. A lot of people are missing out on the Mooncloth tailoring proc. Amplify Magic, as I mentioned, is missing. A lot of these things you can add in from your first pull to make it easier.
For sure. And on top of that, the jewel craft like neck buff, right? We haven't seen like pretty much anyone use. Like, of course, there are groups that have been using it like consistently over the entire time, right? But not the double neck even. Like I myself, right? I was misinformed regarding the necks. Like, as far as I knew, you could only have either one of them like enable at the same time, like not having multiples. But yes, you can use both the spell power and the spell crit one at the same time, just for an example, right?
Absolutely the strongest necks you can use. I think they add something like 4 or 5x the DPS of the next best neck.
And the resist necks or the absorb necks you can swap off. So if you're doing a big pull like the Morose pull, put the fire res one on for the 5-minute buff and then sapper.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, you can even bring those into 25 mans, and like for speed kills for like mag, you can have people in each group with the fire resist neck and the shadow resist neck, popping those and then taking them off, and then you basically give 4 or 5 a shield for shadow and fire for 5+ minutes, which can eat a ton of damage if you do that in every single group, and that just lifts so much strain off healers that it's like, I think we're going to see a lot of this moving into later phases if there's any like big burst damage that you can avoid or like help mitigate.
Guessing fire on the stairs in the first Morose trash is
yeah, it's really good.
Valuable. Yeah. And then one of the things I feel we undervalued, right, it was Stratum Holy Water. So I spent most of next term farming that junk, right? But for some reason we all happily forgot it. But it's a free potion, and I mean most of us should be engineers, right? And also now that the helmets are coming out on Thursday, right? Most of us are probably engineers. But if you're not engineer, go re-roll, and if you can't, then bring Holy Water.
Yeah, definitely. Like having an instant cast as well. Instant cast fucking grenade means that you can just use it whenever without like risking your shit as well. Aren't they supposed to
Didn't they change
disappear?
the scaling though with holy water? That
are they not based on spell power anymore?
No, they're not.
Oh, that is a shame.
Well, I think the level affects it right now because everything is higher than the. We were doing some research on it. It does a little less damage. So if you are NG, it's like it becomes lackluster. But if you're not NG, it's still just an instant cast that you can weave into damage. It just adds more damage, you know. Faster things die, the faster you go through the instance. So.
But that is definitely like the first part of like speedrunning in phase 1. But phase 1 didn't only have speedruns, right? 25 mans have been speedkill meta for the longest time, right? And well, where have we ended up? We have ended up with some juicy fucking times, right? I know that this parse here on Hiking Mulgar is not the current, legit run, of course. It's just a bugged log. So let's see here. Yeah, as you can see, it's like 5k DPS. However, with Hiking Mulgar, we definitely got to see what mages definitely ended up being used for. And while stacking mages is probably not going to be the end-all thing for like a proper speedrun, we can definitely see for speed kills that they have a usefulness. Not only in 25 mans, but also in like speed kills in Karazhan. Let's see here.
We must see an 8-second or 7-second before this is over, right?
Oh, yeah. There has to be someone, right? But as you can see here... Oh, that's not even the log. Is this one? No, that's not it. There's a log from Ilhoof where he does like 11k DPS. But even then, like, look at this, like Ilhoof single target DPS at fucking 7k. It's ridiculous. Crazy. Of course, this is abusing the fact that you can stack the spell steal ability on Ilhoof, right?
It just feels extremely immature the way that we're using. Can you go to this log that you're in here, the good log, yeah? And then if you just open that one up, the China log number 2 there.
Yeah, you wanted to see the
yeah, I want to show the so timeline for damage done actually. So this is what I think we're battling a lot with right here. They're losing a full second for that. I can't pronounce it. I'm sure you can pronounce it better than me. But the second mage from the bottom.
Yeah.
Right. He can't hold. He's an early seeder, as we call it, and he casts nearly 1.5 seconds before everyone else, right? Which means the whole damage curve is pushed by 1.5 seconds. So what we've been developing a lot now is a weak aura that helps. It basically doesn't allow classes to cast until the correct time in the countdown, which we then tick down with 100 millisecond intervals. And depending on travel time of the projectiles compared on the haste you have, it will sort of auto align that, so you get a completely linear cast curve, where the offsets are not so crazy here, right? And you also see a lot of the shamans here that are just delayed, right? The second shaman from the bottom, he doesn't do anything for 2.5 seconds. That's 25% of the entire encounter. He's just watching. Does not seem efficient. There's so much optimization left to be done here. I think we can push it. We can't, but I'm sure others can push it down too.
Yeah. Like,
8, 7
what
seconds.
is this? Like a shadow bolt happening, what, 4 seconds after the initial soul fire?
I mean, this is damage done, so he might have gotten resisted. I don't know.
Oh,
if that is
maybe.
happening.
I could probably check.
It's also the
casts.
Affy lock, so he probably had to throw
Yeah, there it
elements
goes.
up as
There it
well.
goes. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
There's elemental.
Yeah.
That makes a lot
Yeah,
more sense.
there you go. There you go.
But you can see that people are like starting their casts about the same time. Wait, it looks like they like had the cast like super scuffed because of that one person.
And I think this is a successful cast as well.
Yeah.
So we'll, but there's definitely room for optimization here.
Like, look at this guy. He started casting Pyroblast a second into the run. Like what?
So the problem is that the first cast, if it starts outside of combat, it will not get shown here. So it could be potentially that he was hard casting or long casting Pyroblast.
Maybe
He got caught out of the log.
Either way, that's it for at least like a gruul or a hiking Mulgar killing. Like, of course, there's been like a speed kill attempts on other things, but we can take a look at the Exodus kill that ends up being 9 seconds. Mind you, this was the #1 time for like a month and a half, I think. And then there again, you can see that people have some of their like Pyroblast arriving significantly later, which would have been like a lot better. Like, it's ridiculous how fucking fast it dies.
But also there's a hunter too much in this one, right?
Yeah.
There's warlocks too much here. So that even this could be optimized with the class comp.
Yeah, this is only the initial one that it did. I think early in August, right? So it's over a month ago. Let's see, it says last month there, at least in the clip. But on top of that, like,
It's a good idea to clip before you run out.
yeah, before you all run out, yeah. Always right. We've seen some speedy kills on both Gruul and McTheridan as well. We've had some controversies on these kills with kills using the bugged warlock talents, which it's unfortunate, but there's not much that Kira can do about it outside of, you know, like manually going in and like blacklisting logs.
Well, we've seen, you know, without. I mean, there will probably be others who can make that judgment, but it does seem like some of these logs are missing from the log the proof that they're using the box spec, despite videos showing they are.
Yeah, so
I think it's going to be
most likely
very
edited
difficult.
logs as well. Yeah,
most likely.
If people are like editing out the potential cheese that they are using, it's also gonna be rough. I think this gruul log here. Oh, it's not this one. It's the McTheridan one.
But
You can see that they're using like succubus here, and if you take a look at the buffs, I think they're missing the ability from the succubus that's supposed to be there, which is one of the talent points. I know it's been bugged for a long time, but even so, like abusing a bug. I don't
There's
know.
also been a meta where, you know, hiking Mulgar is how many mages do you have? You know, Gruul is how many hunters do you have? And McTheridan is almost how many warlocks do you have?
Yeah.
Almost. So it's been a little bit of an interesting meta where you need to force people to level a lot of alts, get into a lot of Karazhans so that you have a chance of doing good kills rather than finding a good composition, right? Learning your class and stuff like we saw.
Yeah.
And now I'm happily forgetting that we brought warriors times 28 to Nax, right?
Yeah, of course. If we go down to like Nax logs in the previous instances. Oh, Who was it that did the absolute stack on Warriors on Horde? They brought 0 mages. I know it was a Horde guild that did it.
I think it was Statement. It might be right.
It wasn't Statement. Oh, Senseless. Yeah, Senseless did it. Here we go. Not a single mage in their comp. They're still bringing a lot too many like rogues though, but I think they just don't have access to that kind of roster to justify. Is that an odds?
That's gross.
God bless Bella in that comp right there for coming in just to curse a wreck every single mob, man. Bless his soul.
Yeah, so like class stacking is nothing new. We've seen it in other expansions as well. So it's always gonna be a part of the game. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens in T5 and onward.
I think what this took a little bit it to a next level is, level a mage for a 9-second kill and then don't play that mage again. I think that
pretty
that
much,
a
yeah.
little interesting. And tier 5 seems to be up in the air also, right? You guys are going balanced, we're going warlock. Exhale looks to be going warlock. And the others are going
Exodus
hunter
had a really good warlock stack as well in their PTR attempts. Let's see if we can find it. Because
Curious, one of the debates that we've been having with the Phase 2 comp is whether 2 or 3 paladins is worth. Do you guys have any comments on that?
I mean, you obviously have the benefit of getting the 3rd blessing. But do you then run a ret paladin to justify it?
We were talking about double pally tank for the pally healer, possibly, but
my whole
I just think that running double feral is definitely better than running double paladin.
The taunts can get really screwy with double pally.
yeah, exactly.
our Fury Warriors are very opinionated about having both Might Kings and South. I'm not mentioning names here.
I mean, if you're playing a class that
I've been hearing from too.
if you're playing a class that needs all 3 and then you're not getting all 3, then you're not gonna have a good time.
I remember the first time we went on beta in the TK and we had 2 pally tanks and a prot warrior, and I was trying to assign like taunts onto the first trash pack. And then I was like, wait, none of this works because of the triple pally taunt. Everyone was just pulling off each other and it was just an absolute nightmare.
Oh my lord.
The boomkin, I think, is also a little bit of an endangered species in some of these comps, especially when you're leaning towards the warlock comps.
It's just crazy to me. It's so strong. It's such a good class to add into the raid, in my opinion.
That is something we're definitely running. Like, just having the possibility of reducing your hit on gear means that you can itemize so much differently on all of your physical members, right?
Yes. You're running more physical than us.
Yeah.
I think we're always saying we are running one for now, but I think we're always asking ourselves, is this really more damage than just adding another warlock? And if it's equal, yeah, we'll run the boomkin, or if it's even just a little bit below, we'll run the boomkin for the utility. But I think if you have strong warlocks, good boomkins are hard to find, is my other experience.
I think if you, until druids have access to more hit gear, I think the boomkin is pretty solid in the comp, because it lets the druid itemize for threat a lot more.
I think with Kara though, I think early on at least our comp was more warlock focused. We actually started with 3 warlocks when we started doing Karas, and have slowly switched back to the Fury Warrior speed clear. And I think especially with SSC, there's so much AoE trash that we'll probably be seeing more Fury come back. That at least in our comps, we just haven't seen the stacked warlocks pulling the same amount of damage, even though Fury is very buff dependent.
I mean, as long as you can run the Fury comp then anywhere where you need to like tank and drag, you're obviously gonna be benefiting from having the Fury Warriors. That is something we mentioned like a long time ago. Like if it comes to Karazhan, where you're just killing the mobs too quickly, then suddenly like swapping your entire meta to just Fury Warriors is gonna be the thing to do, right?
Are you, Jonas? Baby.
Because like
seen
if
comps
you
with
can
two
pull,
Furies? I think I've seen like an arms and a Fury, but
oh yeah, like
I haven't seen a very melee stacked.
You mean our clear time where we lost 4.5 minutes?
Oh
Were we
yeah.
running?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Speaking of your comp, are you guys switching out the two? I know you went to a ranged speedrun. Are you guys changing out the double warlock for something else?
Yeah, like it's a single warlock with triple hunter. It was supposed to be that initially.
Ah, it's a triple hunter. Okay, interesting.
Oh, you wanted a triple warrior instead?
Yeah, I actually did. If I'm
I figured it out there. But no,
I mean, I think from what I'm seeing in like a lot of runs, like trash and how fast you're moving between places in Kara is like most of the time. Like there's a lot of log analyzing tools that you can throw in and just look at combat times and like out of combat idle time and stuff like that. And like I think we did one of our runs and we had 11 or 10 minutes of idle time, and almost all of that from watching a VOD back is just running from mob to mob or traveling long distances. Like after Nightbane, those ghosts have huge travel times between each one, and then you kill it and then you're running again. And it's same with like Curator Room, like it's a long corridor. After libraries, like all of that area after Ilhoof is just travel time. So like the more you can drag mobs, the more you can cleave them down as you're moving and just keep on going without stopping and even worrying about mana. Even though I know you could drink walk, it's still just warrior is the king at that, you know?
For sure, which is why a lot of people just want classic again, right?
Yeah.
Also, when double hunter really shines. Just having a good week or two, get hunters into both groups and getting aspect up for all that travel time really saves you in the end.
Yep.
I guess that is the one thing, like in the comp that we're running, right? There would be one, I think, survival hunter that is doing all of the pulling. So they're still getting the benefit from like hunter like raw DPS, while also having someone that can be up front and doing all of these pulls, while having the exposed weakness from survival. That's the spell, right? Yeah. Which in this comp, right, obviously is a lot better than running two fucking warlocks.
Yeah. You need to be really smart about when you ride survival and what gears you run. It's actually a very interesting spec where you really sacrifice your own parses tremendously to buff the raid. You need to be very sure on how much you trade off. I've always been, when we run on gruul with, I don't know how many hunters, 12 hunters or whatever, like almost going full green agility gear can pay off in some slots, obviously not all, but you really run this weird itemization for the benefit of the raid. It's a very interesting class.
It's really surprising to me looking at the class breakdown at the top of this page of like the survival is coming in at like 0.4% of every single logged Kara speedrun, which is like seems very low to me because I feel like a lot of these double hunter, triple hunter comps could bring a survival if that survival knows what they're doing, because you get just a ton of benefit in terms of having physical DPS and just rocking expose constantly. If they have the right buffs in the right party group with like a feral or a hand shaman, like you can really get them to start going and buffing everyone's damage.
And once again,
something that we're gonna be testing this week.
Definitely something
better late than never.
Oh yeah, testing new stuff right before the last run. That's always gonna end well, isn't it? I know that all too well. But let's see. I guess we can start taking a look at some other stuff. Do you want to add something before we go on to the next thing? All right. Then we can start taking a look at a few things specifically in Karazhan that have been a little bit of like a innovation in of itself, right? So let's see. I need to bring up the resist run as well. I know that they weren't the first with doing this strat specifically, but they did it in the run. Let's see, I'm gonna have that on the side as well. Beautiful man, Warbane, of course. So one thing to mention first and foremost is the Dream State pool, right? That we saw initially with them. This is from one of their fastest run, right? So it's not the first time they utilized it. But we're taking a look at Bray's PV here. Bray couldn't make it for this one, right? Unfortunately, LT would have been here to explain most likely how they ended up doing it. So you can see here, they'll end up pulling the Valet, I think one Phantom Gas pack like on the side here, but you'll see in just a little bit what ends up happening. Like the benefit of having engineering items, having a Paladin who can do pulls, you'll see it right here. And it's so juicy to see. I love seeing this. Unfortunately, they do end up losing players to this pool though. But you can see like the gist of it. The one they did initially in their 48-48, which we saw, what, start of August, ended up being, I think, the second or third fastest run at the time, using it from the very first, try at it.
Interesting that they don't pre-pop Iron Shield and log out before they pull it. They do the whole Ataman with no Iron Shield up or Amplify Magic. It's also interesting when you're doing something of this scale, which is so risky, that you wouldn't just Kara Portal after Prince and then do Ataman last.
Yeah.
Because now you're committed and you're lost, right? And if you're doing something like that, which I don't know what the success rate of this pull is on PTR, but I'm guessing it's not 100.
It's not 100.
It's not 100 to say the least.
As somebody who does it, yeah.
So that could have been an option for them to play this better. But again, right, anyone who can do a 47 while this happens just shows the power of AoE, and also these are great players, right?
Obviously, yeah.
If you have our VOD dressed, we do the same pull, but we since we run basically full NG, we just kill it all like instantly. We don't have to try to kite it out or anything like that. We just brute force the pull.
Let's see.
And we also have a prop pally do it instead of Holy, so he's able to take some hits.
You can take some punches on the start of the run, which helps with just giving us the time we need to get in and prep zappers and stuff like that. We make use of like bombs and arcane bombs and stuff like that as well, just to increase damage and silence them and like stun them, just to help reduce as much damage as we can.
I just want to point out something. You guys have Battle Squawk on you before the run starts. Did you guys get it and then log off with it?
We did, yeah.
That is the one. So at least, what is the 30 minutes of prep? You could technically show up with all 5, right? But if you would fail, resetting that chicken every single time, right?
Yeah, we told ourselves that, if this pull didn't go well, we're not going to mess with the squawks again. But I think our prop pally has done this pull enough that he's at like a 90% success rate at this point. So we can pretty consistently get it down. But ours is a little more catastrophic if we don't get it off.
There you go, there's the pull, and should be seeing the Paladin moving after it. Man, just thinking about it, I've seen so many fucking Kara runs in the past few months. Oh my god. Boom. It's so nice to see like everyone using grenades and whatnot.
Like
it does so much damage. Especially like Goblin separate charges, right? They have a damage cap of 50,000. So technically you could press a button and do 50k like damage, like in a single global. I can see that you guys still opted in for going both left and right hand side on the tables.
Yeah, it's a little easy to gather the room when he goes in with rocket boots because of just the amount of speed he's getting. And then we have so much excess time because he's prot and doesn't have to worry about taking some hits and dying. He can bubble really late, which gives us a huge window to come in Sapper. And we also use the Holy Pally bubbling early to go in to get ahead of everybody, just in case like a lay needs to happen or some extra heals. It just gives us like extra safety net so we can play around planning on not failing instead of just like, all right, send it, it's a 20% chance, you know, and then have to reset. Because I mean, when you're in the zone and you get going, like you don't want to have to like halt everything, go back, reset, wait 10 minutes, and then go again, you know. It just really kind of kills the vibe and doesn't keep your like energy and focus up. And I just think it's kind of like unhealthy. The same thing with like speed kills. It's just like not super fun and doesn't really keep you in the headspace of a speed run.
Oh, you mean like being Exodus and going at it on the Magterodon for what 5 to 7 hours each time?
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
What is this VOD? 5 hours, right? And they're just on the same boss every single time.
I have nothing for respect for the mental that these people have to do this for 5 hours.
It's absolutely insane. Like if it was full speedruns, I would understand like being able to put this amount of time into it, but just a single boss fight, and you're just trying to get it to die the fastest way possible.
It's like all we got though, man. The phase is kind of empty.
Yeah, for sure.
My Kara speedruns rock.
I mean,
at least
Kara
Mag,
speedruns is very much what saved a bunch of the speedrunning at all in TBC. Like if you would have gotten in like fresh into SSE TK without having any sort of like speedrun content, it might have killed a lot of guilds.
I think trying to kill MacFast has killed a lot of guilds. That is the most toxic encounter. Who didn't click? My mouse didn't work. I got disoriented.
It's like, oh, I got knocked. I was on fire.
Yeah.
No one healed me.
I swear I clicked. I just got the debuff and nothing happened. I think we're done with Mac.
It sucks that it's the speed kills promote such like a finger pointing, like as we said earlier, it's just like when you're in a knack speed run, if someone dies, you're like, you just res them, you keep going, and that's the focus. You just keep moving. It's a speed kill, like someone dies and everyone's so quick to be like, oh, it's heals, it was this, it was this, it was this, you know, and it sucks. I'm very excited for SSC. I think SSC is going to be one of the funner speedruns coming out. I think TK is going to be interesting based on like layout and the structure and how like difficult the trash seems as of right now. But I could see SSC doing some crazy stuff with like the pathing of going in and out of the water and the mass AoE pulls with prop paladins and stuff like that.
Definitely, like for a proper speedrun in SSC, you're gonna have to have engineering on everyone. Because doing the jump to the platform with like rocket boots plus slow fall, that's gonna save you like what 30 plus seconds at least.
Yep.
And that is just a jump with slow fall.
Hopefully it gets fixed, but at least in the PTR, right? There's a few bugs still in TK that wouldn't make it very fun to speedrun that. So we saw kill fast bug out quite a few times.
Oh yeah.
Losing speedruns to that is gonna be not so fun. So I think SSC is also where we go first and try to get that down. It's gonna be the most fun.
Sure. Well, let's head into the current fastest run then by Spaceforce. Ideally, they would have been here with us to like talk about this run, but they ended up not being able to be here at the moment. But as we see, they are running the Boomkin, right?
Mooncloth tailoring, no amplify magic as far as I can see. No stacking of paladin buffs, which is weird. We talked a little bit about these guys does not look like they fished this instance. You can actually fish those as chargers, which gives them trouble. So
it is possible that they only fished for the Darius NPC on Moros instead.
We prefer to at least fish that we don't get double chargers. I think the lowest we've had is 2 charges. It's probably possible with 0, but you know how us like this work, and fishing after
It
coming
is
out of
possible
AQ
that
is...
it is possible that some of the spawns are like set spawns rather than RNG.
I've never found one with less than 2 chargers, but like at least for us, like this is the most dangerous part of the raid for whatever reason. So like we definitely value that a little bit more, I guess.
So one of the things we've been fighting with here is, do we go range or do we all stack? And after we started fishing charges, we have started going ranged and then just stun the charger. So we have Paladin Druid, stun it, kill it first, it won't charge. Because also then we get, you know, our warlocks and our mages, the thread you need to rip is higher at range than its melee, and we find it better. Obviously we still have our hunters dancing with traps here like they do. Our hunters can then also pull like they're doing here.
We actually have a member here from Spaceforce. I'll drag him in. Oh, Eratrius.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up? What's up? Eric was supposed to join first, but he couldn't come, right?
Yeah, he told me he wasn't going to, so I'm hopping in. Let me pull up your stream so I can see
so
what we're all looking.
What can we say about this run then from you guys?
Is this our fastest current? Is that what this is?
The current fastest, yeah.
I wish we had Little Red Riding Hood on any of our weeks. I don't know.
Don't we all?
What I did tell the boys when I was telling them I was going to come here, though, is I want to give a shout out to Dinosaurs and Bakers for in the top 10 not running that same comp as everybody else with the same exact strats and just trying to like do the same exact shit and like try and beat people. So I just want to give a shout out to the innovators.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Not that I'm part of that run.
I think Dinosaurs is running what, a resto druid and a holy pally. Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Like, that's so crazy outside meta. Like, I love it. And then there's an Ellie and a Shadow Priest. Like, there's fucking every single hybrid you could ever imagine in the run. Big props on that.
What's the thought behind running Imp here over something else, right? Because if you fail here and if you die, you can just reset. So like,
I'm not even sure that he meant to have an Imp out.
Okay. And
it's definitely not planned.
He's running fire. He's running fire. He just didn't sacrifice it.
I think that Boomkin is the biggest mystery in Kara speedrunning right now. What's the thought behind it?
Sure. So, 1, we're bringing to some extent player, not the class. 2, battle reses have proved to give us a pretty good cushion when things go bad, because things go bad in Kara sometimes, and you like especially in clutch moments when you need to keep moving forward. The battle res can just save you like big time actually, that you can't see on raid DPS. And then 3, we have fucking 5 physical DPS, right? So 3% hit is giving us durability more or less on all of those characters, especially myself and the druid.
Like, not only that, you can itemize like different on pretty much everyone else in the run by just having that one boomkin.
Yeah, I think it would be different if you're running double fury or arms fury, whatever you want to say, for 2 warriors, and then the druid has commanding the whole time. I think that changes things a little bit. You can like essentially they're a similar thing, but the druid just gives you more flexibility overall. I don't know.
I mean,
it's we considered taking it out, but
I mean, like, not only having the usability of like combat rest, of course, as you mentioned, but like being able to heal in like fucked up situations, right? Is obviously gonna be nice. It's not as good as having like another like healer, but just having the possibility of healing is just like a nice addition.
Yeah,
and we run 2 healers, so we're pretty safe. Sorry, go ahead.
They've talked about me having to put 33 points into balance as a resto druid and then just like being all busted. I don't know.
I think if you were running a not holy pally, that could work, but since the holy pally is your guys' other healer, it seems scuffed to have the druid not be a tree.
Something that
miserable.
I do want to mention before we continue with this run specifically. If you take a look at the resist run that they did, let's see, I gotta find it in this vault now. They did their run a little bit different from the rest of the pack, right? This is not like an innovation from them. We've seen it in. They might have thought about it themselves, right? But there has been a different clear before. So what they do is they pull all of their mobs like around this corner, while they're having their hunter actually pull at least 1 or 2 packs, Phantom Gas packs from the ballroom into the stables. Also, like having the bop happening on the healer, right? Because the healer threat is gonna be insane, like during the entire time that they've been running towards the rest of the players, right? I just wanted to bring that up before I forget about it. It seems like a nice potential time save.
I think for our comp specifically, we would never entertain it because we don't have a prop pally or double lock, and it's kind of.
It is sketchy.
You're pulling enough mobs that you need that to happen. For us, we're trying to keep everything to like 4 mobs at a time, all the time. Is kind of our game plan.
For sure.
Because not having a prop pally, we can't like. We can't like fucking have a billion mobs with like X threat on a healer just coming down a hallway at us like that. That will never work. So we just have to pull really fast and smooth.
That is also one thing that they benefit from having a single healer, because
For sure.
they don't need to focus on like 2 healers like having potential threat issues. So
when we thought about going to single healer, the biggest thing was that we almost keep up in raid DPS with 2 healers. Like we're like 150 DPS behind most, like even if they're higher than us, because we're higher raid DPS than majority of runs, right? If they are beating us, they're only beating us by a very small amount, which can easily be overtaken by fucked up heals, because we're not bringing a Shadow Priest to like support that, right? So like,
yeah,
you're bringing a class that's going to do less DPS to try and support the more YOLO comp, but then that YOLO comp is doing the same raid DPS. So as long as you're doing like all of your pulls properly, like we have hunter traps, we have earthbinds for every single pack where there's guests and shit. So even though there's just shit hitting our warlock all the time, like nobody's dying because we have 2 healers and we're just blasting it down. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's more flexible.
By the way, this is something that I noticed in your run. Like, obviously, right, you guys are avoiding the Phantom Gas pack and running into the room, and then you end up pulling it afterwards. Is it because of the patrol that you ended up choosing to pull the Phantom Gas pack? Or is it the ninja pull in the back? Okay.
No, it's if we see that there, we're gonna pull the guest pack to just be doing raid DPS like while we're waiting.
It's better than sitting there with hands in pants doing nothing.
Yep.
Was this the run that you actually managed to skip the concubine pack?
I'm not sure.
I've watched something in the range of like 60-70 runs of Karazhan, and I've seen 2 guilds being able to skip it. And it is like a 10-15 second time loss.
We've skipped it most runs that we don't accidentally pull it and then full wipe, which has happened once.
Oh, that's rough.
But yeah, we aim to skip it most of the time.
It's one of those things where you really need to be careful, right? Because like it takes 15 seconds to kill, but you very easily lose that time standing there waiting for them to enter or leave. Like you need to be so decisive to just say kill it or not be afraid to kill it.
Definitely. Like if
they were 5 seconds back, if they were just coming out of the door, we would have pulled them. When they're in the negative space between the maiden door and the door that they came out of, we would have just pulled them with the other guys. But we had the time to wait 5 seconds for it.
What is like sketchy in this moment, as we can see here, if the pack is in the middle room and you're just waiting for them to be in a position where you can run forward, you might pull them while running past the middle room, and it is so sketchy. We had that issue with our own player when we did one of the
that's the time that we've wiped before doing it. Is it was in the doorway and we didn't know.
Because like right now, right?
I think this is up, boys.
I think this is the absolute best timing you can have, and you need to be really quick to skip it.
Yeah, if they're going into that last room when you're going into Maiden, this will always be the pathing.
Yeah, assuming you have a consistent clear times.
Have you guys looked into going sense of swiftness over anything else with the amount of
Our
running?
healers do.
And I also noticed here that the hunters from Group 1 does not get split into Group 2 for the aspect. It's one of those things we've been doing a lot now.
We do that sometimes.
Okay.
It does save like a significant amount of time.
Yeah, there's this weak order that allows you to do it.
On long runs we do it, but we haven't put a lot of brain power into it.
Once
I
again,
think
losing
our
time
hunter
here.
was saying that was stressful on their mana to do that. Or well, we have one hunter, so we were talking about having him like spam aspect and go back and forth from the two groups.
He can just drink walk, right? Because whenever he can put an aspect on, he's drink walking. So does your tank?
I mean, it's on the GCD still. I think.
Does your tank fap on these?
Oh, you can
for
use
us, no.
grounding. You can use grounding.
Yeah, I think you can also fap. That's what we've been doing.
We double grounding, as you can see. The shamans are in Group 1 for it. The FAP or the grounding both do not negate the threat drop, so it doesn't really matter what you do.
Oh, I love seeing boots. Of course, sending the boomy on the mission here. I think potentially.
Yeah, I think we lost a couple of seconds here.
Yeah,
on the late mission.
You could have cleared it faster if you just left on the actual killing.
How many engineers do you guys run?
I think it is one. You guys run 10?
It's not 10 right now. Drek respec to NG from BS this week. I'm not sure how many it is. It's not 10 though. It might be 10 now. I might be lying.
Did you guys do your last run yet?
No.
Okay,
we always do our run Sunday. Yeah, we have one tonight.
Yeah, so there's like 4 guilds running tonight, and they're in the top 5. And then
we're hoping to see what
people's top 10.
What people's times are and stuff before we go in, but if it's not, it's fine. Better honestly that we don't know. It's better for pressure and stuff. We're just fucking expect to be behind.
I'm assuming Eric is streaming tonight, his PV.
Probably Eric and Drek.
Yeah. So, what can you tell me about this thing about to happen here? How many of the runs have you lost to this thing right in front of us?
I mean, to be fair, we haven't really lost them, right? Because we're I'd have to look at like the beginning of the tier when it was us and Exhale trading back and forth, but majority of the times that we've improved our time and retaken number 1 has been not Red Riding Hood at minimum, and I'm pretty sure that number's like 100%. We just don't get Red Riding Hood, and so our times are always a minute and 10 seconds behind what their potentials are, which is really fucking annoying, but it is what it is.
It is so annoying.
There was a long discussion on Warcraft logs about, taking out the segment, or at least making it bended based on parse or something like that. So if you parsed 100 on Romeo, 100 on Oz, it would be the same time that got added.
The main issue with it is cooldown timers.
Yeah.
Line up.
There's ways that people would fucking end up cheesing any way that you try and normalize this, right? Like you could do it when you're only in combat with this shit, but then people could be like pulling stuff in at the very last second and like starting the timer when they're like killing the ushers and then like rocket boot in and bring everything. You know what I mean? Like there's just dumb shit that people could do to cheese it if you do anything about it. So it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is.
I've been going like back and forward on which actually is the slowest between Wizard of Oz and Romeo and Juliet. And
we think it's Romeo and Juliet.
It might be Romeo and Juliet, but I don't know. Because
they're close. They're close enough to both fuck you in the ass. So really...
for sure. I mean,
well, the issue with this one in particular is the RP at the end that you just stand at the door and contemplate life.
Like even if you kill the boss fights faster than Wizard of Oz, you're still waiting. I think it's 10 seconds here. So at 26 you killed.
Additionally, for our comp, this one sucks more than the others because we don't run a second tank, right? So we have to do equal DPS, and people are going to be pulling even with salve and shit off the second one if we're doing like all of our DPS to do characters. So I'm in D stance on Julianne, right? It's I don't know. It's kind of just troll.
Have you guys thought about swapping people in, or doing like extra skips for potential like in the Arcane Protector room in the library, right? Like potentially having the paladin do the pull away, and then just swapping in like an alt of the same paladin.
We had a science run before a very long time ago, and we did a Petri paladin rocket boot thing over the top at the window.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That probably is the best way to do it, the most consistent. But now there's trash requirements, so you're gonna have to kill most of that shit that you were trying to skip anyways, because that was in a all trash skips are legal world, right?
Yeah.
Back when we were doing the ATS staff thing. I'm not sure that it's all that viable now, because you have to kill most of that shit anyways. So
Yeah.
you'd be back pulling. I don't know. It's weird. It you can reduce the RNG on the pats in that room, but overall you're putting probably too much effort into a very minor time save.
For sure,
that could
for sure.
that in and of itself could go wrong, right? The pally thing could go wrong.
Yeah.
This pack that you didn't manage to skip here, we haven't quite dedicated time yet to figure out if it's the level or if it's just sitting or not, and if that changes with the upper end. But we have
Don't they have different levels? Like I think it can spawn at 71 or 72.
Yeah, it's a little bit random if you skip them or not. I wonder if that's something that can be fished as well. You do save a little bit. I know we are adding things to the fish list, but
we have no idea. We just hug the left side, and if someone pulls it, we say it's their fault. We've not looked into that at all.
Such a good.
It's a good way to do it.
Blame
The
100
second
Pat.
pull here.
By the way,
I'm pretty sure this run it was me, to be fair.
By the way, if you're the person starting Nightbane, you should take the right-hand door. It's a shorter amount of time to.
Is that door
run.
open at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yes, it's.
Interesting.
For the rest
Yeah,
of the
we've been
people,
on the
right,
fence about whether we stand on the left or the right side here.
that is only like relevant for the Nightbane puller. Like for the rest of the people, just getting into the door is obviously faster than in the left one because it's closer to you. But if you're running like directly into the room just to press the ashes, right, then you should take the right-hand door.
So here, those 4,000 absorb, shield, enchants, or wards, whatever they're called, we found them really beneficial on our shamans. When they get
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Frozen Runes here, yeah.
No, also the wards,
No,
right?
Oh yeah, the wards. Yeah. Sorry.
It's like 4,000 damage.
You can put it on at the start, and usually the first time is not the one that's scary. Plus since we're two healing it, and one of them's a pally, it's kind of we've never had problems with air phase. We haven't looked into that, especially because you can only put it on at the start of combat. You can't put it on once you're in combat. That shaman shield or the shield absorber.
Yeah, but you have time, right? Before, but you're right. For the second and third, it won't help you. But there are a few places where I feel like it's worth it to just click that button for 4K absorb.
For sure.
Let's see, while we're at Nightbane, we can take a look at a few different anomalies that has happened on this fight, right? We have the obvious version of the fight where Overclock lost their, what was it, like a 47 minute run due to, jumping against the wall. And then the skeletons can't be killed.
And
they just keep evading non-stop.
Oh, you're showing that now. Okay, I just saw it.
Yeah.
Reset. That's someone who has threat on the skeleton jumping up against the wall and evade bugging it.
Yeah.
Instantaneously.
You
or
can
something?
see here.
Yeah.
Goofy's jumping against the wall, and then it targets him, and then all of them are spawning in the same spot, and they're evading.
Yeah, I've only messed with the wall when it's like going in and going out, because I don't think you can hit him once he's in his position like fully. You can't.
If you're
can't hit him as melee.
Tauren, I'm pretty sure you can. But
That's
it's
hilarious.
Only on Tauren. But yeah, so that is one thing, right? Then we also have the 98% flight phase.
We had that in a farm run this week.
It's rare. I've seen it in one of our guild runs as well. So like he hits 98 and he's already flying. It's like what? And that is a like a slower run, obviously, because you can't have like a full uptime. What else do we have? Oh yeah, this thing here, where people who are on Nightbane just get teleported out. It's the same thing where people are standing close to a wall while the skeletons are like put there, and then they get teleported into the wall, right? Because of the skeletons, right? And then they just get ported down.
Yeah, we don't mess with any of the walls shit.
Yeah, watching this clip when you posted this in the Discord made me so fucking confused. It was like, I was like, what is happening?
Like, if you tanked any time when we're just a knockback mob in both Classic and in
is that the area
TBC?
that's underneath this in the
yeah,
instance?
it's like right underneath. Oh, we have some new additions here. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Oh my god, it's Andy. I'm starstruck. I'm meeting my idol face to face for the first time.
Alright, can we have a slight introduction to who are we talking with there?
Yes, this is Andersen from NOTA.
And I'm Juized from NOTA, playing Resto Shaman.
Alright.
Gentlemen.
I'm the Shadow Priest in our run.
Alright. It's good to have you guys with us here.
Cool to be here.
If I heard this correctly, you guys have been on the PTR doing 10-man content.
Yeah, I just came from PTR.
Did you guys practice anything new, or is it just more of the same?
Pretty much more of the same.
Alright. Have you been listening in on what we've been talking about from the start here?
No, we haven't had, or I haven't had the time at least.
Alright, so there are a few things to be done. Obviously, right, we have mentioned the paladin buffs, right, to be used. Like having additional paladins in the raid just to have the blessing from the very start of the run. But in the same, like, in the same type of deal, right, you could also have shamans that pop bloodlust and zone out, while the rest of the party benefits from the buff, right?
Wonka is cheating. It's just cheating.
Cheating.
And also, you know, swapping in players at Nightbane. Because you could have like 4 Warlocks waiting to zone in, kill Nightbane, and then zone out.
I don't think that's fair, to be honest.
Are there not number of player restrictions on it?
No. There's no number restriction. Yeah. Well, welcome to like, I don't know, like a week or 2 ago, when people started figuring it out. Either way, as we were talking about it, like, Nightbane has some wonky mechanics, right? And this teleport mechanic is something we've seen in TBC and Classic, right? If you get knocked back into a wall, they teleport you to them. And in the same vein, like, when they spawn inside of the wall and then teleport you to them, of course, you'll get something like this, where they get teleported into the room below them. Just thinking about it, how much of Karazhan is just useless rooms?
It's
like,
way too much.
Like, there's like so many different variations of how to get to places, but they're just not used. Like, I think you can get to Prince by going on completely different routes, like in the like insides of Karazhan. But yeah, let's continue watching from this PV, right? I've been trying to find the PV from the Chinese run that initially does the rocket boots into petrification, right, with the entire group, but I couldn't quite find it.
I think we probably have it somewhere. Let's see if I can find it.
It would be good to showcase when we're getting into the library.
So one of the things you obviously give up running the double druid is the shadow priest and the fortitude that he brings. So you do make up some of it here with the lucky rocket cluster, but I feel like
scrolls.
missing the health from that always makes it feel a little more out of control. But I'm guessing you'll just learn to deal with that.
Yeah, we've run without a priest since our first run, so we've just adapted.
I mean, like, the scrolls of stamina are super cheap because no one
but,
uses them.
They're only 20, right? And
Yeah,
I think,
it's only 20, but it's better than not having them, obviously.
True.
Yeah, it's 20 versus 80.
I think it's 120 something with talents, 112 with talents, right? So it's almost
More-
1,000.
More importantly, though, the differential for the 3% hit versus the fort, and then you get like the scroll to offset it or whatever, is all hit pieces are down armor versus non-hit pieces. So if your druid's running 9% hit, he's running much farther away from armor cap than if he has 6% hit on. Is like a big determining factor there. HP wise, you might be similar, but armor wise, you're always going to be down if you're running 9% hit, because the high hit pieces don't have armor.
There we go. Thank you, Iona. Okay. Obviously, there's a video from Nightbane dying, like the actual speed kill of it. So there might be a few people that don't know, right? You can actually have a infinite flight, like a phase, right? By just doing enough damage. Has anyone of you done it in a speedrun? Like have a flight into flight?
Yeah.
We had some really funky results.
Yeah, it did not work well for us, so we intentionally stopped doing it. But we used to run such a range-heavy comp that we could pretty easily push it.
In the beta we ran Kara just like on off nights for fun a lot, and Nightbane was always the most bugged encounter by a good amount outside of Shade of Iran. So
sure.
we just haven't fucked
like,
around
skip
with
out
Nightbane
on
too
you and
much.
fly away.
Yeah. That was like 40 to 50% of the time. When he'd land,
so
he would
annoying
just
to do.
decide that he was done with you and just fly away again.
Yep, that's what happened to us when we actually tried it in a speedrun. Is we pushed him past the next phase. He spawned skeletons on us, but then he just decided like, oh, I'm gonna come land anyway, and then I'm gonna fly back up and then spawn skeletons a third time. And we were like, why did he just do that? That makes no sense. Like,
Yeah, we've never fucked with it for that reason, because we assumed that was still a problem, but we never knew, because we haven't PTR'd since the PTR's been available for Kara, so we didn't know if that was still in, but we just assumed that was a problem.
Well, also right now Kara PTR Nightbane's way nerfed, and it's like.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's not.
Is it just Nightbane, or is it like a bunch of bosses?
No, it's Nightbane and the
most
mana
noticeable. Yeah.
There's no
like,
Dragon's
as a healer,
Dragon's Breath.
it's no longer stressful.
Yeah, no Dragon's Breath on the Shade of Iran as well.
Has anyone tried to make that jump work in the bottom here?
I wanted to bring it up, yeah. So technically, right, the kill requirement of trapped souls is less than everyone kills, right? Because you can avoid it by just jumping here. You can jump
but you
right
need
here.
everyone to make it, right?
Everyone needs to make it
If one
first try.
failed, it's time loss. You have to just. Oh my god. I never tried. I never made it. So.
As someone who wall jumped a lot, it's very easy.
It's pretty. You can get it pretty consistently, but you can, like, we drag that shit all the way into the next spot, right? Like, you don't lose that much time by just walking up.
And this is definitely where someone like Eratrius, right, is benefiting, because you can just keep pumping while running, whereas the casters and hunters are struggling a little bit.
Drink walking completely defines, the class meta and how we approach Karazhan here, because it's obviously working. It feels like one of those things where it's almost too good to be true, right?
I can't wait to have 400 water in my bags for the rest of
As a shadow priest in here without the drink walking, it's useless.
It's impossible, dude.
Yeah, it's impossible. Literally impossible.
I don't know, you should talk to our shadow priest. He's got some interesting stuff going on with spirit sets.
Depends if I'm gonna heal. if I'm gonna help with healing and stuff, that's the worst part. But if I'm not gonna heal, then usually should be good.
Safe pull, right? So we've been going back and forth if you double pull or single pull these in the beginning, and we just lost too many runs to this spot that we started single pulling like you guys do here.
For us, for pretty much everything, right? Just our comp, we tried to not overload the comp because we have one tank, we don't have a prop pally tank, and we're not running double warlock or double mage, right? So like our greater than 4 mobs DPS like really starts to suffer overall. So we just try and keep it very smooth, just chain pulling, but never grabbing like 50 billion mobs, because then we're just doing less damage than we could have been if we pull them one at a time.
I don't even think it would be that much faster, honestly, like watching different guilds do it that way. Like you guys are still blazing through this. And...
I mean, the thing is, right, if the Giga pulls were such a big DPS increaser, then our raid DPS would not be competitive. You know what I mean? Like we're running 1 lock and 1 mage and we don't have a prop ally tank. If it was necessary to Giga pull everything, then our raid DPS wouldn't be the same as everyone else. It'd be worse.
If there was no damage cap, then holy yeah. Holy moly, the seed damage would be insane. What, like 3k crits on every single mob, and
Well, I'm sure everyone on this call knows, right? But leaving that last pack and putting curator before is an opportunity, right? I've seen a lot of people lose the speedrun here because they don't know you can just park that last.
Yeah, you only need to kill 5 out of 6 Arcane Anomaly packs. As well, you don't need to skip this one at the very end. You can skip the one that is like at the very start of the room as well. The one at the far end, because you can just hug the wall and not kill it.
Exactly.
And that one is a lot simpler to skip, obviously.
Our understanding was that it's actually 6 from the beginning. Those were the initial requirements that we copy pasted. The weak aura says 5, and we've seen people's runs get invalidated with only 5, and we haven't seen that.
Oh really? I don't think
there's an one of the exhale runs that's with trash skips is. I'm pretty sure they have every single mob that you would expect to have. I don't know why it's invalid other than the fact that they killed 5 anomalies. But
I know about that run. I know about that
missing
run.
Something.
No. I know about that run. That run specifically is they kill everything that is correct, but the logger disconnects.
Yeah, they later uploaded with that.
Yeah, they needed to have a full uploaded log.
Yeah,
but the logger disconnects.
It's not because of these. It's because one of the things in here I think he misses, or later the spell filters, what are they called? So these are interesting.
One of our early runs I released.
Same thing can happen if you're dead, then you're running back. If you're the logger, then it's fucked. You need to have everyone logging, like for just safety.
I really like these mobs, the big arcane guys here, because their mechanic is not really well understood. So my understanding is it's different things that they will respond to. And we started pulling 2 and then sort of just figuring out what they respond to, and then going for the other one.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, and considering this is not tested, maybe this is not where I
that's accurate.
Show my brilliance, but my understanding is they work a little bit like the mobs that reflect fire, reflect arcane. And so if you pull one, and it will actually it will respond to physical damage or respond to arcane damage. And so if you see your mages getting pounded on one of these, it's because it's one of their abilities, and they should just switch to a different mob, so they don't get pounded.
Oh,
yes, that's accurate.
That's my understanding, but I can be proven wrong. These 3 mobs down here.
They don't need to be killed.
No, but what's the trick to skipping them? Is it just be locking?
You use a paladin. Just pull it away.
So there's
Oh, you mean
So are you talking about the bottom of the ramp place?
Yeah.
Talking about? Yeah. So there's a lip that you can clip onto the jump up, but if you go around the bottom, you'll pull them. But if you clip the lip just right, you can jump over it and you don't touch them. It's very slim.
Yeah,
very slim margin.
Yeah, I think we just screw it up almost every time.
There's a point in the room that you trigger the spawn of the back 2 robots. If you don't touch that point before you're ready to do it, they won't be spawned. It's like the you guys ever did jump runs in DM East? It's like the fucking treants. If you ever did a jump run, those far treants
interesting.
always fucking spawned super late, and they were always there, right where you expect them to be. You could mouse over them. It's that same thing for the robots.
Do you know the line essentially?
Yeah. We just run the same thing over and over and over, and it just works. I don't know. We haven't like played with it or anything. We haven't stopped and like run out and you know what I mean. We haven't tested it, but that's absolutely how it works. You won't be able to see that far robot or the one that goes like the one that's next to the quest giver or the one that's next to the guy in the cubby next to the quest giver at the end by the ramp. They don't exist yet.
By the way, something to talk about for these magical power packs, right? What you can do instead is you just use rocket boot and cloaking device, run through this room and then pull back into. That way is most likely faster than having the extra pulls. Reducing the RNG to 0.
In this room, right? People used to go left. Obviously, right is better because there's always 2. The other one is 2 to 3, but it's an interesting room. I also feel people.
That's not entirely accurate. You can have it based on the paths. You can have it better on left.
Okay, yeah, but it's a luck thing, and I think
it's luck. It's luck. Right is the consistent route. Left is the high roll route.
Well, yeah, we're always trying to be consistent with our luck.
Which is why if you would use the cloaking device, you could potentially just save extra time there.
We also had to learn to disrespect the spell shades in that room because they are literally the same spell shades that you get up here in larger packs, but they look more menacing when they come alone. You really need to
they do nothing pretty much. Just single cast spells, right?
We kill them just so that the positioning of the mobs is consistent because they're the only mobs of the 4 when you pull them with a pack that won't come to you. They'll just sit there casting. So we kill them just so we can have so we can drag more efficiently.
So
here not be having the druid get fucking frostbolt spammed.
We pulled that pack into this tunnel, and then we pre-run the druid down here to pull these to try to speed this segment up and basically kill everything in this room. They were not together.
Yeah.
There's shit that we've experimented doing here, but we've never done it live. Just like we've theory crafted it, but we haven't fucked around with it too much. So I don't know. Depending on how the run's going tonight, maybe we do it.
Let's see here. Before we start off with Ilhoof, I do want to bring up the Chinese run that did skip in the Arcane Protector room. Let's see, I got it linked here. So obviously, right, this is before the kill requirements were in, and this is how the situation looked like.
I miss this type of videos from Nux.
Of course, this is like a sketch situation, right? They pull extra, do like all of these scuff things, but then they just press flask of petrification.
They're actually missing a part of the tech here, which is that you parachute cloak and you can.
Yeah, I know. Yep, I know. But then they lose a bunch of time here.
Early whisk skips, Karazhans reminded me a lot of like when people were starting to figure out the ins and outs and like really crazy shit of Nax, like the gate jump, and like I think when Gooch did the outer rim of the thing by himself before he knew like the clip existed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like all of that tech that started getting discovered really late into Nax speedruns that really pushed the time down was one of the most exciting things to like watch weekly. And like I think Sarth was covering it at the time, and he would have people on and talk about it similar to what you're doing with Kara. Yeah. And it's like it was such an exciting time for like Kara's or Nax speedrunning.
Definitely. That's why I've been like wanting to do these kinds of breakdowns for each phase, right? Rather than like waiting until the end of the game. Like I should have done like this kind of podcast way earlier, because getting input from all of the different guilds is like a brilliant way of getting the time slower, obviously. Because there's so many things that you don't think about like individually, and of course, like if you don't want to talk about specific strategies, that is fine, right? It's your right to do so. But as someone who just wants the fastest run possible, this is like the best way of doing it, right?
A little fun fact: this guy is a demon. So if you're feeling rich, you can go demon slaying here. On, melee classes.
Let's go demon slaying and then swap back, and then go demon slaying again later.
just be rich. The bombs help so much on these guys.
Oh yeah, just having adamantine grenades, stunning them, of course.
I started playing
Can
my
you stun the
holy
Sorcerer Shade? Does anyone know?
No.
No, you can only interrupt.
Yeah, but it's the Sorcerer Shade has like a 12-yard radius on the spells.
Yeah.
I started playing my Holy Paladin extremely aggressive in these segments with Holy Wrath. I think it's helps a lot with AoE.
Yeah, our Holy Pally actually does about half the overall damage of our tanks in our runs. He plays very aggressively.
Something to talk about Shade of a Run, obviously, is the kind of RNG that you are looking to get, right? I think we all can agree that Flame Breath as the first special ability is the best one, since it does absolutely nothing. Yeah, like it does nothing.
In our past two of our past like 5 time increases, we're fucking with Flame Wreath at the end, and we're stuck in it for 10+ seconds.
Oh my god, that is good. And then getting Arcane Explosion is obviously the best thing for the second spell.
There's no Petric Cap. Forehead.
Woof. Ah, there you go. Oh yeah, people have pointed out that you can actually pull Shade of a Run out of the room by using some exploits. But it does nothing, because when he casts special abilities, he teleports to the middle, right? So it doesn't really do much.
So going back to the tech we discussed before around the necks with fire damage absorb, I wonder if, this is something making up now, right? If it's worth running those necks, one in each group, and in case you end on a Flame Wreath, you pop them and then you just trigger the Flame Wreath. I don't know if that does enough damage.
You'll trigger too many Flame Wreaths, because the thing is, when you trigger the first one, you get bounced out, and then when you land again, you're considered re-entering the Flame Wreath, and you'll explode again. You're literally fucked.
Yikes.
Though if you are running like solo healer or something, it wouldn't be bad to pop a frost one before this, just so that there's a little stress off your healers. Because they do have Frostfire and Shadow. Yes.
And Blizzard does the most consistent damage of all the abilities.
Reminder to not use potion cooldown here, even if it gets risky. How many people have had to summon people after the ethereal skip?
At this point in the run right now, I have 40 seconds on my pot CD. That was a very bad boy.
It's such a loss. It's such a loss. Like 30 seconds you lose having to summon people, or just person. But it happens. I started trying to pick up books on my Holy Paladin because I feel like I have the time to do it. I feel like getting 2 healer books, one in each group, is pretty big. And once I get those 2, then we stop picking them up.
We've always ignored books.
The healing book is good, I find. I think the other ones are pretty.
As long as you're like picking them up on a healer, it might be worth it. But as soon as you get a DPS doing it, you're probably losing more DPS than you're gaining.
The way we look at least me and Holy Paladins, I'm useless most of the time, right? Because this can be a single healed, right? So like those books.
I just want to get a replay on this situation. So you had 40-second cooldown, right?
Yeah, no, it comes off like right now, like I'm right behind us. That's not me.
Oh, it's Malix, right?
Going back.
Yeah.
Run back.
That's scared, huh?
Did he use his items in the wrong order?
I cannot confirm or deny what happened.
All I know is he's getting summoned right now.
Look at this time, right? I know.
It's like 10-15 seconds.
It's so much.
Yeah, it's per summon though, you know.
That's the DPS loss, right? It's like...
Yep.
I never knew you lost one here.
That's probably due to the summon, right? I mean, it cannot be confirmed, but.
Well, fun fact, I think it's the thieves right there. They have a cleave, and one of our runs, I tried to get ahead of the pack as a warlock, and I just started running towards the room because I wanted to sit down and refresh like a food buff. And I walked right by the thief, and he cleaved at that exact moment and crushed me for like 9k and just one-shot me. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Because none of us had any awareness that those thieves cleaved at that point in time.
something to mention as well as we're getting into the Netherspite room. You obviously lose time due to the positioning of the boss. Like a
Yeah, it is what it
between
is.
10 to 15 seconds.
Of the different time losses, this is one that you can live with.
Yeah.
If you get fucking bad opera, you can be upset. If you get a bad shade, you can be upset. If your chess is like actually bad, not just like, oh my god, I'm getting griefed, you can be upset. But this is nothing. Like, it's gonna happen to 50% of guilds will be on the backside.
I think you lose time here.
Don't you die here, by the way.
The void zone, my body is outside of the void zone when I die. That's all I'll say.
I think the red beam we all should be considered, right? Because every red beam you let through, he takes less damage, and that's quite. I think the tank is taking the least amount of red beams he has to, but he could probably have taken an even bigger part.
I never looked back at the buffs. Yeah, the tank is getting the stack. We had 17 stacks there. The boss should be dead already.
By the way, if you are a warlock, you could go into the red one and then just tap your heart out for full mana.
The green one, you mean, or?
Yeah, no, the red one, because it increases your health, and life type is based on a set amount of health.
So this is where I think slow falls on everyone is very good.
Just get a filled vessel mug.
That one, and if you don't have that one, Noggin Fog or spamming.
Yeah.
It's like look at this. You're losing time, and I know chest comes up, so it doesn't really matter. But this spell filter, he's scary, right? He doesn't.
Yeah, he could AoE, and
the scariest part about this guy is that if you go in with your tank not topped or not topped enough to pull the mob, then your first heal is going to pull aggro off of him, off of the tank, and go and he'll just run and kill people.
By the way, for people like new here, you don't need to wait for people to get into the room. You can open the door after chess has started.
Yep, we learned that this week.
Yep.
It's actually crazy the number of things that we're still learning about this late, and that's one of the sad reasons why it's going to be locked.
There's still stuff to be worked on.
We talked about that a little earlier, right? They didn't get the complete run requirements out for so long that like the meta is just starting to get to the point where it's like we're shaving little pieces off, not like big.
It's a shame though. I can still get the point of view from Spaceforce.
We'd be happy for it to end because we've been speedrunning it every week since the beginning, and I know a lot of people want it to continue and get the absolute fastest time or whatever. But from our perspective, it's kind of cheese because not everybody was actually running the instance for speedruns. So I don't know. Don't want to get into a big drama since obviously fucking we have a vested interest in ending, but.
Yeah, we already had this discussion, so it's fine.
We've been where we are in the standings for a long time, and it would be kind of sad for that to continue into T5 and have to like keep running Kara to like defend our position. I don't know, that'd be kind of weird.
So, something I mentioned though as like a middle point is having both the phase 1 time and the current phase on the leaderboard, and that would.
I mean that's definitely more. If there was going to be a continuation of Kara runs, that's obviously the preferable outcome. But
yeah, that way, like both people get like
so
a piece of the cookie, right?
so this pull we have here, we keep a Hansa outside of combat, and he runs up here and stands here when chess ends, so he can pull these two instantly down to us. So we don't end in a situation where that patrol comes crossing, and then we delay the pull.
Well, the patrol's in a random position. He doesn't get released when chess ends, so we're waiting for him to go away so that we can do this, because you can't do this if you can't run away from him if you pull him. If you pull him, you're just locked into killing him, right?
Yeah, I think you do a different thing here, right? Which you pull them up the stairs, which is probably smarter. My point is, we kill the first two, and we usually kill the big guy because we haven't learned this yet. But if that hunter allows us to make sure we can actually pull as soon as chess is over, rather than standing there waiting for him to patrol by us if he was
100%
inside the pack. This guy here is a killer too. That thrash can surprise you.
If you have your melee accidentally run too far forward and you get cleaved and they're low health from before, then oops.
More dangerous than the melee is overexcited healers and range DPS that are just not used to the mechanic and just running ahead and getting the dot.
Oh yeah.
That run
that's more likely than
I think it was Overclock. I was watching one of their VODs. They were bringing a specific consume that I think might remove that rend, but I haven't confirmed or not. I haven't seen it.
Lufa probably, but I don't know if that works.
Let's see.
Since we have 2 healers, we just don't care about brain power on shit like that.
So you don't do the door strat here?
It doesn't matter. It's all RNG in the end.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters is being able to like avoid the mechanic on the caster. Oh, I mean the melee camp.
The biggest. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just I mean, it's fine that it does matter, right? Because you will still get enfeeble and their casters. So at the door, if you get enfeebled as a caster, you'll never get hit by one of these guys, right? So there you opt that out. Obviously, if you do get one of those to land in front of you, then you screw your position and you need to move out. But I don't think it's.
We're more happy being dynamic than getting locked into a spot where there's an infernal on top of both tank spots, and now they have to move out of the door, and there's like infernals places. I mean, obviously we're killing the boss fast enough that that's like not that big of a deal, but this has never fucked us outside of we've had, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 speedruns that we've lost to enfeeble on tank on transition. It's really sad actually, the amount of fucking runs we've lost to that.
It's just a fucked situation.
We need a little Uyghur that prevents dark ruining when enfeebled.
Yeah, we need that big time. We lost 2 people this week.
I failed that a couple of times with my Shadow Priest as well.
Retro Paladins are good at it too.
In the 48-48 by Dream State, Bray does it at the very first enfeebled. He like times it to the frame.
That happened to me.
We lost a run here due to enfeeble stacking with weapon spawn. And both of our healers basically got clapped by the swords or axes there while enfeebled.
Oh yeah, the enfeeble mechanic is built around much lower raid DPS overall. That's like the problem with it is that it's not expecting you to push in the times that you do when you have good DPS, so you get like super fucked on shit like that, or the tank gets it because it doesn't know who's the highest threat during the transition, and then your Feral Druid dodges 7 times and then dies the 8th, and it's sad.
So, now that we've gone through at least the Karazhan speedrun, how are people looking forward to the 25-man runs? I know that some of you guys have been pushing for at least 10-man speedruns. How are the comps for you guys looking going into SSC and TK? Like, are you guys running more of a balanced comp, or are you guys running like a stacked comp? I know that Dinosaurs mentioned that you were looking or leaning more towards like a Warlock stacked run, right?
I think that was Havana room.
Oh, Havana.
We're doing a balanced run.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going full balance.
My bad.
I think ideally we'll end up stacking one way or the other. Maybe it'll end up on balance just politics-wise, because running a guild is more than just bringing fucking 15 warlocks, and that's not really how we operate.
Sure.
But it'd probably be best for everybody, obviously, if you're just stacking Fizz or Spell, right? Like you can have more Ellie shamans, more boomkin, or not more boomkins, but you get what I'm saying. You have more flexibility that way. The downside of the physical comp in SSC is it means you're running probably a lot of melee, and there's just a lot of fucking punishing, close to the mob damage that goes out in SSC. That kind of sucks for that.
We obviously live on a very different server than you guys, where you build a comp around, who plays whatever they have well. I think it's a little back to your original point, bring the player, not the class. So we're a little bit locked in. We do have the fortunate situation that the players we have to gravitate toward a Warlock comp. So I think we end up running 2 or 3 Hunters and then trying to stack those great Warlocks for the rest. I do like the Hunter still to have benefits on Alar with the traps, and they have benefits for the MDs and stuff like that. So they do shine in a few places, right? Even on TK, they're pretty nice. Or KT, I mean.
You always have like your utility roles, but like the 25-mans feel fairly restrictive. Like I know we just brought like 20 warriors or whatever in Classic, but every time you switch one guy for the other role, like the roles that the first guy was benefiting are all taken down as well, and just like starts to get to a point where the stack just makes a lot more sense. Like for Prague, we're going to be balanced, like we said, for politics, and it just makes more sense. But at some point, I do think we're going to be stacked one way or the other.
Yeah, that's at least one of the nice things about actually being in a live phase here soon is being able to see from logs. Like I dug through a ton of PTR logs trying to figure out the 2 versus 3 pallies and didn't really get conclusive evidence either way.
I mean, in the end, right, the Salabreakers comp ended up running like a red paladin over like not running triple blessings, right? So like you just gotta figure out what ends up being the ideal run as we like progress into the phase. Like obviously we can theorize as much as we want, but unless we have it like here and ready and people have like mashed all of their knowledge and like brute force into it, then we'll like properly know like what ends up being better. And obviously it can change over the course of like phase 2 and maybe like even phase 3 going forward. It'll just be interesting. Like definitely for as we mentioned like way earlier on, like warriors, because as long as warriors are still usable for speedruns, clearly warriors are the best fucking class. Just for the fact that you can do damage while also pushing forward. And that's where you lack a lot on on casters. And
we did a good amount of beta care, like I was talking about, because we were just bored as fuck when the beta was available. And I played a bunch of different I played the classes that I play in live, and it just seemed impossible that Fury wasn't going to be viable. There was everyone had their private server memes about how, you know, Fury Warriors were whatever F tier, whatever the fuck that Wowhead shit was. the list. I don't. You guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no.
And that seemed impossible to me because I was in blues when everyone was in blues, and I was top overall in just if I was actually a Fury in Karazhan beta, and it just seemed legitimately impossible that the longer the game goes on, the higher the crit, the higher the ARP, the higher the AP, the higher the haste, the higher the fucking base weapon damage on your weapons is, that warriors are going to become more irrelevant than they are now. And right now they're pretty fucking relevant when it comes to anything over 2 mobs.
Definitely,
So,
definitely.
I think in Sunwell you'll see a surge of like maybe 5, 6, 7 warrior comps really competing, because it's just gonna plus glaives and stuff coming in. It's gonna be nuts.
We kept 5 warrior mains in our roster going into TBC, and we downsized from what we were in Nax. So we definitely believe in warriors.
Like something to be said as well. Like where will hunters have their spot when like warlocks get their haste bonuses? Like when warriors and warlocks are doing haste stacking, like directly causing their AoE to do more damage, right? Like I don't know where will hunters end up in that like
There are big question marks on that, and that's a political time bomb for all guild leaderships.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Because when you get into like any clears where you have more than 8 mobs and you have haste stacked warlocks and they're doing like 7-8k DPS, like what are you gonna do with your hunters doing like 3-4k?
You're seeing guilds who are splitting gruul right into 3 or 4 pieces so they can get more DSTs for the hunters, and it just seems like time is running out for the hunter class a little bit. So I think it's going to be an extremely political decision or discussion when it comes to that. Because you invested so much in these hunters, and it's usually your best DPS players as well.
I feel like a lot of the people who did swap to hunters, who are currently the ones like pushing in the top 10s, like if they would be swapping back to warriors for any of these, like, well, anything from speedkill, speedruns, etc. going forward, I wonder where they would be like damage wise if they had the gear on their like warriors, because they could probably be pushing as much DPS as, well, people like Alondo, Lari, like all of these like top runners. Like I feel like of course like the speedkill meta is kind of a meme in of itself, depending on like where your stance is on speed killing. But are those people like potentially better off running a warrior compared to their hunter? Like who knows?
In the long
run,
run, it depends. It depends, right?
Like, keep both up to date, honestly. Like almost all of our hunters have a warrior that's equally geared right behind it.
Yeah, that is definitely something that we lack in Salavegas, since we've been pushing for the quote-unquote meta like build, right? Or more like a balanced run with like very few warriors.
The other thing that we're looking into is hybrid healing specs, like specifically having Resto Shamans play Ellie, buffing those groups for damage, utilizing additional Shadow Priests and things like that. Where
You're saying all the way down to 41 for that purpose?
Yeah, for Wrath Totem, yeah.
I feel like their throughput reduction is so crazy, they might as well just be healing at that, or they might as well just be damaging at that point.
Yeah, most
Well,
of the
looking at some of the
at the end.
Yeah, totally. I mean, looking at some of SSC though, I think we're baseline planning to 5 heal it, but a lot of those fights, I don't think you really need 5 heals. Like Hydros, Lurker, Leotheris, I think you could get away with 4 heals or less. And in those cases, you could have your Ellie Resto throw on some Ellie gear, just blast.
This is such an interesting discussion that we've had in our guild as well. The exact same argument. You don't need to always heal, and then the shamans go, but then I might as well not heal at all, because I lose 20% of my chain heal and I use their shield, and then I'm useless. And I don't know where the truth is. It could be either direction, but it's something we need to test out in SSC if it's viable, because it's such a benefit if it works.
I mean, the biggest thing is how much do you gain from that Wrath Totem? It's probably a good amount. If you really can run the entire instance with 4.5 healers, then I mean, fucking.
It's not just the totem,
that's
right?
Magic.
It's not just the totem. It's also the spec, and you go damage mode rather than heal mode, and just add to the overheal, which you can also say they could do in Resto Gear. I get that, but there's something different, I think, in the mindset and the way that you play that shaman as an elemental that heals when things get rough, rather than it's a Resto Shaman who pressed Lightning Bolt with nothing else to do.
For a balance comp, I think that all makes perfect sense. If you're stacking either Warlocks that are tapping all the time, or you're stacking Warriors that need to be chain healed because they're taking lots of raid damage on just normal trash, I think it kind of throws that all to the side. If you're running a really balanced comp with 4 Hunters, 4 Warlocks, 2 Mages, a Shadow Priest, an Ellie or whatever, then that all probably is fine and makes sense, but I think once you start stacking, your healing requirements go up considerably.
Yeah, if you're definitely doing melee heavy, I think you want a real shaman there. But there's just so much raid damage on some of those trash pulls that I think you do need. I think we're going to see a lot more shamans again. I mean, phase 1 healing wise for shamans is the sad time. You don't really get to see the full power of it.
I mean, something that we definitely see in... Oh yeah, I'm just taking a look at the resist run. They did fucking get Fiery Warhorse in the latest run. It's either way, like when it comes to Rested Druids, right? Like Rested Druids, they don't really benefit anything for the damage output.
No,
but their healing is insane. Like their healing is insane.
Also, their mana is nuts. Like we have Iona on Rested Druid in our run. She gives her Innervate to the Shadow Priest throughout the entire run to help just boost the mana of the Warlock and the Prop Pally and everyone, right? So then that way, her not needing that mana so badly allows us to get so much mana return that, like, it in theory gives us like a benefit to our casters and our prot tank and stuff like that. So it's like a weird dynamic that I could see that being something useful in 25 mans as well. But I mean, then the added thing that a tree is slower than everybody, and then you don't get chain heal. And when you're looking at like SEC packs and you're AoEing those down, like chain heal is insane. It's just so much healing output. It's hard to get away from that.
It's ridiculous, it really is.
At minimum, baby step that along this line of thought of the Resto Shaman not providing as much benefit to caster groups as they could, is we're putting 2-piece tier 4 like helmet and shoulders, or chest, whatever is fucking clever, on any shaman that's intended to be in a caster group, because you're gonna have an enhance. I mean, we run an enhance, we run a resto for our 2 physical groups, and we only have 2 for right now. If we stack physical, it'd be 3 of some of that combo, but you're guaranteed to have 1 or 2 probably at this point resto shamans that are sitting in a caster group that could just be giving 20 spell power more to everybody else. And since to what you guys are saying, like contributing to overheal, yada yada yada. Like that extra 50 healing that you get from running the proper items on those 2 slots is kind of nothing compared to 80 spell DP, 80 fucking spell damage.
Sure.
They're also a great candidate for wearing buff necks too, because I mean, I at least in our recent Kara, I'm running with a +10 stats neck, which is like otherwise really stupid, but like I don't really need a necklace when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
I mean, anything to just benefit the overall like group going forward.
Yeah.
Like as long as you can do your role perfectly fine, like then you should look into like downsizing your needed healing to benefit the rest of the raid instead.
But going on that thought on rest of class, so one of the things we've been doing a lot in PTI is we've been running arms prot on the warrior. So we run obviously a feral druid, a prot paladin, and then an arms prot warrior who can then keep up the debuff, and we don't need to dedicate a full warrior into an arms spec. You lose very little. You trade shield slam for mold strike, which has its pros and cons. Thread-wise, it's not that much. Yes, you lose 5% stamina. Who cares? Yes, you lose devastate over Sunder armor, but again, you're not really deployed as a prot warrior when it's threat that needs to be done, so it does not really matter. And plus, you get death wish when things get rough and you need to build up threat quickly. And if you go dual wielding, which I do, for example, on Void Reaver and other places, well then sword spec and impale and these things actually tend to help. I think we might.
Is the reason why you're staying prot because you want to, or because there's a valid raid reason? I guess we're in a situation where we have a prot warrior that I think trying to get to switch to feral just for raid buffs and other reasons, but curious to hear what you think the value is for prot warriors.
So we don't like feral tank and Morgrim. We don't like feral tanking on KT. We like the prot warrior there, or a warrior, so to speak. It can be arms prot or full prot. I think we will use it for progression, like we use our resto druid for progression. And then when we get, things more, how can you say, on farm, then or on towards speed, then we will go double feral as well, and we'll swap up the resto druid probably.
Yeah. That's our plan too. I think I'll be switching to that Ellie Resto Shaman build from Resto Druid.
The problem again is we have a GM and a raid leader who has a prot warrior, survival hunter, and holy paladin. All 3 classes which may or may not find a spot in the speedrun meta. So for now we think prot warrior is the best to put me on.
I'm not. This is actually something I'm curious about because I'm not sure how it is on EU. Since every time I brought up like intra-guild class role, whatever politics, the NA people in the channel have all said like, yeah, I can see that happening. Do you guys just like not have politics issues? You guys just kind of kick people to the curb and it's like no problem, or like how does that go down?
What do you mean politics?
Like, like people playing specific classes and they don't get a spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, of course, people are going to be pissy about it, but
so we run too.
They get pushed down because, like,
I mean, we haven't.
Okay.
At least
That's fair.
Like it
exactly what I was
pretty much
asking.
is.
The
Like,
other NA
get
people
fucked.
and I are out here like, I don't know if we can do that shit.
It's not about kicking though, right? I think in Havana we've always said we put our best foot forward, and whatever the best foot is in comp and players is what we do, and that's the fact of life. And when you live on a server of the size that we do, speedrunning becomes a mean of survival. So we would be enjoying our own survival. There's such a long tail of various Pepega guilds who can do I don't know how many seconds High King Mulgar. And if we want to differentiate ourselves to that, we need to be that. That does not mean we kick people. So we have a GDKP, we have an all raid, and we will send people there. And then I think it also depends, and maybe that's where the socialist country of Denmark here comes in. It also depends how you support those players when they're not there. So we take an active part in making them better, so they can become better. Because you will never find people who are good enough. I think you will find people you can train to be good enough. So as long as you're trying to make them better, that's fine. What does in reality happen is when people find themselves not put into that main raid for a couple of weeks in a row, they do tend to gravitate either down a notch in the guild or they quit the game and then they funnel out. We have a few hangarounds, but it's a natural process. But again, I truly believe for our guild to survive on the kind of server that we live on, we need to stand out, or we'll get lost in the noise of, we are 4 out of 4 in tier 4. Come join us. We're a great guild of past friends. No requirements, semi-hardcore, fun-loving group, and yeah, we don't want to.
We have guys who've been in our guild for like 2 years, like formed not like day one, but basically, and like they've been around and like they want to play their rogue or their warrior or whatever, and we're like, they don't have a spot, and we got to make them play warlock, and like it just sucks, man, and like there's a lot of drama and politics around it, and we still go for what you're saying, where like it's best for the guild, but like I mean there's like ripple effects, and like people want their friends to play with them, so like I don't know if that's just more in with us, and like maybe you just has a different culture around it. I think it's definitely a huge deal for us. It's like not just is this guy the best, how's this guy gonna feel, it's how do his friends feel. Like it's all of it.
Our core 30 people could not be separated. It's not really a thing. So it's kind of
that's the same for us. I mean,
because
that's why
everyone's friends. It's not just like these people are apps and logs. We have to fucking like expectations management, politics. I don't know. We're getting kind of fucking deep into the whole thing. I just wanted to start the questions and to fucking. I was really curious.
The question is also if it's a politics or value, because the value for us is we play what is needed.
I mean, obviously, right? Like when it comes to the different classes, like if you have a person who plays a class but is doing like, let's say 100 logs, right? They are the best person in the world in that class, and they're doing more damage than your average hunter. Then why the fuck wouldn't you bring him? Like, why would you bring someone just because their class is correct when they are, playing worse?
It's such a great song.
We had that in Nax, that we had a Shadow Priest who's now
Okay, sorry.
I mean, we also ran 3. We were by no means like running mostly meta next. Like we had, I think, additional mages than a lot of groups ran. We had 3 warlocks. We had a Shadow Priest. Like we were very far from meta. I mean, we saw some success. We ultimately scuffed our last run, but like it was still, for us at least, and I know a few people just said this, like for us it's the people that we play with, and it's the core group, the friends, and we try to adapt to meta as much as we can, or balance as much as we can, but like we don't even really push for split raids that much because we just want to play with our friends and like do the best we can. And that's like how our Kara started. That's how our 25 mans have been since BWL. It's always been the focus on like the core of our guild and improving as a unit, and not just, okay, this person can parse 100 or can pull this much DPS on trash, like let's bring him and bench so and so, right? Like it feels like an unhealthy way to operate, and it doesn't really make me excited to like want to raid lead or play. Like I want to play with my friends. I don't want to have to adapt and bring 25 mages to Parswell. Like it makes the gaming experience, like what we do as like a niche micro community, like kind of sad in my opinion, in a way.
I think there's 2 things into this, right? I think we all know it's very difficult to recruit a good person. So like the incentive to keep people around, is like almost our #1 priority in all guilds, I'm guessing. I don't live on the same servers as you, so maybe it's different there, right? Secondly, I think their Warcraft logs do create an extremely unhealthy obsession with a very simple metric. I do wish there was, and I know this is very hard to fix, but I do wish that there was a calculator for the logs where a class's total contribution would be added, right? So for example, as a survival hunter, okay, you would calculate the value of exposed weakness and then try to redistribute the logs and take away. This would not only fix 2% of the issues with Warcraft logs, but it would fix some of the issues with Warcraft logs.
How beneficial is it to bring a Curse of Wreck bot into a physical comp for like Karazhan versus him just doing like zero corruption? Of course, I'm talking about my own situation, right?
We did the math on this for SSC, and we calculated with our comp. Your comp is different. With our comp, if a mob has more than 180,000 health, then you wreck. If it has less, then you don't. And this is obviously dependent on where you're from. But I can send you the math afterwards for your personal thing. And
I think we might go a little bit higher on our guild players for that kind of.
The great thing is in SSC, mobs either have like 80,000 health or they have 375,000 health.
Yeah, it's very obvious when to use it.
Yeah, and you probably just press the button, right?
Like on the what is it, the 9-man packs in between from what is it, Hydros and Forward. Like obviously, right, you could press Curse of Wreck on those mobs, right? But or you could press Seed and do what, 4k DPS.
So the best argument I hear for Seed, and I'm not a warlock, so let me be careful, but is you don't just start blasting anyway because you'll pull threat, right? So there is usually a free global cooldown to do
unless you have fetish.
Yes. We are a guild without fetishes, but 7 mage alts with MQG, 0 fetishes.
Mage alt. Well, I guess it is what it is. But I think we are getting towards the tail end of this discussion. Is there something else that people would like to ask right before we are stopping for tonight?
Yeah, what's the other guys in here's perspective on mage versus lock in SSC TK? Did you guys see your mages? Both. Did you guys see your mages getting fucking walloped by locks in?
Oh yeah.
In PTR SSC, or you guys see your mages doing well? Because our mage was top damage for like majority of PTR across both instances.
You have.
Exactly.
I don't know. Our mage was 4 behind.
Depends if you have to innovate.
That's what I've heard from a lot of people, but I don't know. It just seems.
Priest group, like you're gonna pump, but if not,
yeah.
Like obviously,
I mean, if there is a Shadow Priest, the mage is in the Shadow Priest group, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of.
You shouldn't need innovate as a Shadow Priest single target though. If you multi-dot, then you need it, but you don't need it as a single target. Oh, it's true.
We run 2 druids, right? 1 feral, 1 resto, so that gives us a cap of 2 arcane mages. And also there's a lot in speed, right? Where as we increase in speed, drinking that 25,000 mana or whatever a mage has now up is going to be really hard. I think
the thing is though, as the expansion goes on, the higher max mana you have, the more value each point of spirit is giving you in terms of mana regen. So as int goes up, your mana regen goes up. As spirit goes up, your mana regen goes up. So mages by the end of the game are going to be way outperformed because their mana cost doesn't go up past fucking what it's going to be 2-piece tier 5. So if they can sustain with that, or at least be close enough that they're just blasting, like their sustain goes into infinity and they don't even have to do anything.
The answer is probably your own, right? It's probably your own answer that is to that question, which is bring the player, not the spec.
Yeah.
Bring a good
I
mage.
also think cooldown usage here is a huge part of this in terms of speedrunning with mages as well. Like knowing when they're using their gems and mana pots and evocate and stuff like that in combination of innervates and a Shadow Priest group, like you can sustain exponentially. Like that's what we saw in our PTR with mages is like on all AoE pulls they were close to top, if not top dam, and even on single target, like in shorter fights, like they shine.
How much downtime did you guys have in between packs? Did they drink pool in between every single time?
We had some drinking walking. I mean, we had a little setup because we had a lot of like, I mean, at least on our PTR, it was learning first, not speed. You know, it was just explaining what things did to people who didn't know and going over polls and what we would be doing when we got to Prague. But I mean, per pack, like mages were up there for us, and I mean, at least for us now, we run 1 to 2 basically always, and it's again players that we know, respect, and think are valuable assets to the team. You know, so.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like in general, because if the warlocks are forced into using their like mana pots and whatnot instead of using destruction like on cooldown, then like obviously
depends on the fight, the trade-off.
Then like the mage can just pump out forever, right? Since they have like drinks in between, then of course you're gonna see like a higher damage output on the mage because the mage is not sitting and drinking on like every pack now and then. I don't know. It is definitely a nice thing to think about. But I am definitely excited to get into the entire speedrun meta going forward into 25 months. And hopefully you guys are excited as well, because we haven't really had any 25 months or quote-unquote 40 months, right, for at least 4 months now speedrunning.
Feels like the
Yeah,
game hasn't even started.
Dude, yeah, pretty much.
We can call it real speed running. I mean, fucking, we haven't had real speed runs, right? We're doing it with 10 people. Like it's, we're ready for real speed runs.
It is essentially a glorified dungeon that we've been dealing with.
Glorified
Luckily, there
dungeon
was a lot of
kinda
like
too much RNG.
Yeah, but luckily there
my
was at least
God.
like cool strategies to do. So at least it wasn't just, you know, kill and move to the next room, kill, move to the next room, and like nothing to do in between.
It's been pretty fun while waiting, right?
Our guild probably would have fallen apart if what we were doing while waiting was fucking 25-man parse kills on Mulgar. So it's a good thing that we did this, and fucking grats to whoever's the winner at the end of the week or however logs work out. It was fun. It's always good to have competition.
We're also going
Anyway,
into
I'm just sad that I didn't focus more on the speedrunning meta while you guys were pumping early on. Maybe we could have you know, pushed for more competition early.
We should have DM'd you and told you the next week after you guys stopped because of the ATS thing that we beat it without doing that. But I don't know. It seemed like you guys didn't want to do it anymore, so we didn't push you guys.
Anyway, I have to thank you guys for participating in the talk tonight, and obviously if you guys want to shout out your own guilds, etc., then you can do so here, but we'll probably take an end for tonight. And obviously, right, as we get like into phase 2, we might have another discussion similar to this, and we can have like a get together and talk about how the phase 2 is going, and potentially, right, as we end phase 2, we can talk more about how phase 2 ended up being. But if we start from the top, Andersen, do you have anything to say about, I don't know, your own guild, etc., your stream maybe?
I don't know. Just hope to see you all in the next competitions. Thank you for the competition, and congrats a lot to Spaceforce. I haven't said congratulations yet, but big rats. I'm proud of you.
It's
hope
not
to
over
beat you
yet.
tomorrow.
You guys still have to go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's basically it, and hope to see you again.
Right, and then if we move on to Q then?
I don't really have anything other than just like I'm excited to see what everyone does tonight and tomorrow. I think you're gonna see maybe some contenders coming up for Spaceforce's spot. I think Spaceforce hasn't done their run yet. I'm excited to see what they pull out. I know a lot of guilds have been slamming PTR for weeks now, so I'm sure some stuff is cooking up, and I hope Warcraft Vlogs decides to split the phase up, because I think at least for our group, we enjoy Karazhan speedrunning a lot as just like a fun activity. So even if no one's really competing for it, like I think we'll just continue doing it for fun and see what crazy stuff we could do going in the phase 2 and 3.
For sure. Eratrius, I know you joined a little bit late, but at least you joined in, and I'm very thankful for it.
Sure. So first things first, big shout out to Andy. We're big fans here at Spaceforce, as you know. We're sad that Lindgren's left us, and we wish that you would have come to NA to blast with us, but that's okay. We have your playlist that you never shared with anybody, and we listen to it all the time. All the time. It's called NOTA Beats, and we love it. And then I want to give a shout out, like I did at the beginning, to all the people speedrunning Kara, and especially Dinos and Bakers for doing the off-meta comp, because I think that's going to be, you know, one of the most interesting things going into this expansion is how you do your raid comps, not just, you know, everyone bringing the same and then etc. No disrespect for people doing the standard comp, just I like the off-meta shit.
Of course.
Love you too, by the way.
And Iona, of course.
Yeah, well, thanks for setting up this community. It's been really cool. I think it's a nice, positive, constructive place to try to push some limits here. It's definitely gotten our 10-man team really engaged, and I think thanks to them to spending extra time trying to figure things out. It's been really fun.
For sure. I'm just beating myself up for not doing it earlier. Juiced, I don't think we heard much from you, but how are we looking?
No. Not much to say. I hope to see some good speedruns in the last phase of Kara, and then good luck in the next tier to everyone.
For sure.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, thanks for putting this together. Thanks to, you know, NOTA, Salad Baker, Spaceforce, all those guilds who are pushing everybody forward. It's like really good to have you guys pushing the community and keeping us together. And yeah, good luck tonight, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, for us, it's amazing to see the big names here, what you do, and it's very inspirational to us. And as a little alliance speedrunning guild, which there are not that many left of anymore, it's good to have that community here where we can share with you, rather than on our own servers where there might not be as many alliance guilds. And if anyone is sitting out there and enjoying the human female character and don't want to reroll Horde but still want to speedrun, hit us up on Mirage Raceway. We are always looking for great players.
And that should be it for tonight. I thank you all for tuning in here, and hopefully, right, we'll have some good competition happening tonight with all of these different runs, and we'll NOTA tomorrow. But presumably the next 10-man content will be the Suleiman in Phase 5, so 25-mans are going to be dominating the speedrun scene going forward. Either way...
Thank God.
I know, right, some people do prefer that, obviously. However, that is gonna be it for tonight. I'm gonna be disconnecting from the Discord, so I thank all of you guys for your participation.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jess.
All right, so as we finish off this stream here, I do wanna shout out to all of you guys watching for obviously tuning in tonight. If you guys have any questions regarding like speedruns in general, you can of course join the Discord down below or at the Discord link right here. I try to keep this community somewhat collected, and obviously, right, speedruns will continue no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's 10 mans, 25 mans, or with Classic Fresh coming, there will most likely be speedruns going forward as well. But make sure that you guys drop by in the Discord so we can hang out, obviously. Fuck you, Diva. Alright. I'll probably upload this shit on YouTube as well, so we have this, on there. Alright, cut. Alright, that's the YouTube video. Alright, how are people doing?